Our next panel is from Hope Collie, and it's a message of hope. That's something we really need right now. When we started this whole convention, we weren't sure how much hope we'd have by now, but with the vaccine on the horizon and a lot of positive changes in the world, it's really great. I think there is a lot of reason to hope, and I think 2021 is going to be a really much better year. So, Hope Collie has been in the fandom and has done Hope panels for quite a while, but they just got a fursuit actually like a couple weeks ago, so it was very good timing, and their name is the same as our theme, so I think as a person they really represent the message of hope really beautifully. So really looking forward to seeing their panel.
Hi out there. My name's Hope. I'm a dog, as you can see. I'm really happy to see you today. I have a little secret for you. I'm a little scared. Not a lot scared, just a little scared. During the holidays, sometimes I get down. Well, after the holidays, really. After Christmas is gone and there's New Year's, but after that, then what? It's really cold and kind of dark, and well, there's a lot going on right now, and I don't know how it's all going to turn out. But there are ways that I can, try to make things okay, at least for myself. I have an idea. Let's do something together. It's going to be a bit weird, but if we're going to all get okay together, I want to try this exercise and see if it works. So let's do this even if you feel like you're okay. Let's all close our eyes just for a second. Yeah, close your eyes. I'd close my eyes if I could, but, And just imagine all your troubles leaving your mind just for a second. And just say out loud, say it with me. Just say stop. Just say it. Stop. Just say stop. Just for a moment of clarity. Okay, now your eyes are closed. What do you see? I know the answer is probably nothing, but say it out loud. What do you see right now with your eyes closed? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you feel, like physically, with your hands and your feet? Okay. So now, with those questions answered, you can open your eyes again. What we're doing there is just getting you to think with your thinking part of your mind. Sometimes when things get overwhelming, it can feel like everything's falling down around us. And an exercise like that gets us to sort of clear the deck and just start asking our mind questions, basic ones, to get it thinking again. And then we can kind of sort of start to lessen the fear just a little bit. And I know it may not feel like fear. It feels like we're being overwhelmed. But usually behind that overwhelming feeling, it's a very basic fear. We can go further, though. Try this. Close your eyes again and sit on your chair comfortably. And just take a deep, slow breath. Just breathe in slowly. And when you're breathing in, think just about the process of breathing. The air going over your throat, down your esophagus, into your lungs and stomach, your stomach expanding as you breathe in. And then you slowly exhale. So the air coming back out your lungs and up your esophagus and back out your nose and your mouth. Let's do it again. Again, thinking about the breath. Breathe in. And while you're breathing in, you might think of something else. Something else might come into your mind. And if it does, that's okay. That's normal. But let's just say that we'll deal with that thing later. and just refocus our thoughts on our breath. And then something else comes in, and we just push it away later, focus back on the breath. And another thing enters your mind, and you say, nope, sweep it off the table, and back to your breath. With this exercise, we're just strengthening a muscle, like any sort of exercise. But we're strengthening the muscle of focus. Just again, very calmly trying to think of only one thing. In this case, just the process of breathing and what the air is doing. And when something comes in, we just push it aside and back to breath. This all might seem a little silly, but if you keep doing this over and over and over again, every day if you can, you'll find it really comes in handy for the times when you really need to put something out of your mind. I know I had to. When I was born, you see this heart on my chest? Well, my parents said I had it for a very special reason. And when I got older, well, hopefully I'd never have to figure out, keep it in mind. But when I was in college, when I was in school, I got sick. I got very sick. And they told me in the hospital that things would be different for me a little bit from now on. And I couldn't depend on really anything about my body anymore. Anything could happen at any time. And I asked, how could I know? And they said, well, nobody knows. Science hasn't answered all these questions yet. And that they were working on it. But I'd be okay, especially for now. And they gave me medication, and I had to speak to a lot of doctors, and it was very expensive and it was very complicated. And it was overwhelming, too. I'd wake up every day in the hospital, and by the end of it, I'd be exhausted and just be overwhelmed with the questions of what was I going to do? I was scared. And people would tell me, well, there's a silver lining in everything. Or, well, God wanted this to happen to you. And my mother rightfully asked, well, wait a second. Why would God make you and do this to anyone? This is tragic. This is horrible. And I didn't know the answer. But then I kept waking up the next day. And I did get better. And slowly, it took a while. By doing exercises like the ones we talked about earlier, I started to at least get myself okay. Remember, the first step is getting okay. And I realized that there's always going to be someone who's better off than we are. More money than us, more talented than us, more accomplished than us, someone who has a better love life than we do, someone who's contributed to society more than we have, someone who has a more exciting life than we do, someone who has more followers, everything. But if you acknowledge that, I feel like you have to acknowledge the opposite. That there's also always someone who's worse off than you. Someone who has a lot less than you do. Someone who has a lot more needs, immediate needs than you do. There's always someone who's better off, and there's always somebody who's worse off. And I think if you keep those two things in mind, you'll realize that each day we wake up and we just have another opportunity to make things better. It's another chance. Even if it feels like there's not much that we do have. We know we always have more than somebody. And then you ask those people, and I have. And you say, oh, well, wait a second, you're in this situation. I have it. I may feel like I have it bad, but goodness, how do you make it work? And they'll say, oh, well, I'm still alive. I'm still here. So you realize that you always have, there are always things to be thankful for. Thankful to who, it doesn't really matter. Thankful to the universe, to God, to nature, to anything. Some people say that nothing matters. We're all just on our way to the heat death of the universe. And maybe we are. But while we're still here, our lives matter. And I feel like we have so many opportunities to make things better for other people and ourselves, even if we don't realize it sometimes. If there is a meaning to the universe, maybe it's that our job is to keep going. And the rest we can make up along the way. But the point is that each day we have the opportunity to try again. Even when sometimes we don't want to. I know I wake up and I'm really tired. I know my name is Hope, but sometimes I just want to sleep again. And that's something else that is really important to getting okay. Sometimes we feel like our life is falling apart, but really we just have some basic needs we have to, take care of. Like, maybe I feel like everything has gone wrong, and what do I do? When in reality, maybe I'm just hungry and I need something to eat. Or maybe I'm thirsty and I should have some water. Or maybe it's been a while since I've showered and I need a bath. I just need to clean off. Your body will regulate temperature better if it's clean. And sometimes I forget that. Or just maybe I need some sleep. I'm exhausted. So we ignore these things. I do all the time. And sometimes you think something's a big problem, but it's actually a small problem. It's not the end of the world. You just need a bath, or a nap, or food, or drink, or something. So if you do all that, and you still feel like something's wrong, what then? What do you do then? Well, then you look at what your needs are. And I don't have time to cover all of the human needs today. Maybe on YouTube and Twitter later. I'm on Twitter at Hope Collie. And I'll link my YouTube there, but you can also search for it. Just Hope Collie on YouTube. We'll probably do some videos covering some of the human needs there and how important they are and how you can fill them. One big need that we all have, especially right now, is for security or just certainty. When everything feels like it's falling apart, we don't have a sense of normalcy. Sometimes we crave variety, so having nothing be normal. Sometimes it's significance. We want to be someone, do something, mean something to everyone else. Sometimes it's love or connection, do something with our peers. Sometimes it's just learning, growing, or giving back. We all have all of these needs, but just in different amounts sometimes. So figuring out which of those you have at the moment can really help you figure out how to address each of those. But then the question is, how do you fill those needs? Especially when everything looks bleak. Well, as I said before, maybe there isn't a silver lining to everything. It's hard to think of a silver lining to death or to disease or to horrible, horrible things. But maybe there is something that can be done, something we can do. Whether it be talking to a friend about spreading awareness, or going online and volunteering, or making a phone call, or if you have some money, donating some money. But there's always something to be done. And if it's your own life, well, I like to just get excited about things. I mean, think about it. What do you like? Come on, tell me. What do you like? I like lots of things. I like food. I like cooking. I like making cool tech things. I like technology. I like gadgets and gizmos and what's going to happen in the world of digital, the future. I never had many friends when I was growing up. They all thought I was different and weird. And well, because of the internet, I have so many friends now. That wouldn't have happened without technology. So I'm a big fan. So I love learning new things about that. But what about you? Is it video games? Is it arts and crafts? Is it making art? Is it drawing? Is it taking pictures of things? Is it writing? Do you have a story? Or do you have even an idea for a story? And sometimes I don't know where to start. I don't have ideas. But the good news is that, especially online, there's ideas everywhere. There's great websites like ArtStation and DeviantArt and, well, just Google Images to find great pictures that you can look at closely and be like, oh, that's cool. I wonder how they did that. Once you have a question, then you can work backwards and figure out how they did it. I love finding out how things were done and how stuff works. The answers to the questions that aren't really obvious are out there. Or maybe learning something new that I thought was obvious but isn't. But that's where you start. Just get curious about something that you like. Video gaming, or I say video gaming because I have a lot of friends who are gamers, but it could be anything. But as long as you have some interest you can get more into, that will take you down a path of amazing things. You just have to get really into it and start getting really curious. And that will lead you to be able to make amazing things. Most of you here are probably in the fur fandom. And I found there are a few groups of people who are as creative as we are, even if you don't feel like you are. There's so much creativity everywhere in this community. To get inspiration, all you have to do is get online and start somewhere. A friend of mine said that even code could be creative, and he's right. Programming is just as much an art as it is a science. So find something you like and get into it. Get into it hardcore, and you never know where it will take you. And it will certainly keep you from getting distracted by all sorts of doom and gloom. A big part of focusing on the good things is limiting your intake of the bad things. If you're focused on bad news all the time, or they say doom scrolling, well, then you're probably going to be much more likely to think of the world as a bunch of bad news all the time, because that's what you're focusing on. And you should be informed, and being informed is great, but sometimes maybe limit it a little bit. I just watch the news once a day. I watch a show called The Phil DeFranco Show, and he's really fair and even-handed. My parents watch the ABC evening news, and that's really great too. But sometimes if I give in and I'm not careful, I see the trending topics on Twitter sometimes, and I get really sad. But then I realize that's only because I was looking, and I wasn't looking at something better, like maybe a subreddit of a topic I'm really interested in. There are lots of sites dedicated to the things you might be interested in, so maybe looking more at those would be better too. But it's all about focus. Where are we putting our attention? The more you prepare your mind for something, the more you're going to be apt to do that thing. So if you get your mind used to doom scrolling all the time, it's just going to go back to doing what it knows how to do. So what's familiar? In a weird way, what's familiar being something that's really toxic. And that can happen in a lot of ways in other places in life. So by choosing something to get really excited about, an interest, a hobby, just something you're curious about, that will go a long way to helping you find really cool things to concentrate on and focus on instead of every little thing that's wrong with the world. Because for everything that's wrong with the world, there's something that's right with the world. People existing, consuming culture, creating culture. There are success stories every single day. But people don't report on them because, well, maybe they're not as interesting, or they don't get as many clicks as things that are bad. And that's kind of it's always been that way from everything I know. But you don't have to be like that. You can find good things and put them in your life. That's how you are going to rise above anything that comes your way, by focusing not on what's wrong with everything, but what's right with so much more. The fact of the matter is that you're here. And while you're here, you can do so much. And there's always great ways to learn. YouTube is full of tutorials and education more now than any other time in human history. Khan Academy can teach you all sorts of things. There are plenty of sites and methods out there. Libraries still exist. And maybe when this whole mess is over, we can go back and explore them even more. So I guess I would just say, pick something that you're interested in and then just geek out. Just get into it. Get curious. How do they do that? How can I do that? I know in the new year I'm going to be trying to draw more because I think I'm not really good at it. And I'm learning to cook too. What do you want to do? There has to be something. It could be anything. And if you don't know what to do, maybe sample. Try out a couple things. See, am I really interested in that? Well, maybe not. What about this thing over here? Between all of those, I know that you can find something not to distract you from what's happening in the world, but something to fill the rest of the time. Again, if you only look at news maybe once or twice a day. I know I'm at my best when I'm working on something that's really cool and fun. I love projects. So together, let's commit to learning something new in the new year and focusing on that. And that will get us through, well, what sometimes can feel like boring and sometimes sad seasons because it's so dark and cold and, well, there are no events or cons right now. Anyway, thanks for coming. I'm going to be covering a lot more about these topics and, I don't know, we'll see on Twitter and YouTube. I'm at Hope Collie on Twitter, and you can search me on YouTube as well. I think I also have an Instagram and a TikTok. Oh, goodness, do I have to dance? I think I have to dance on TikTok. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. A lot of work went into getting this ready, so apologies if maybe it was, it doesn't look the best. But thanks so much for coming. I love you all. Happy New Year, and there are great things ahead. I know it.
Silver Gattoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gattoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gattoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.